all good, bro. It's all good.
I got to do it. No, actually, no, we're just going live right now. Guys, how's everyone doing? It's your boy, GRC.
You.
Sam Stoll. Find another crypto duo with biceps like that. You won't. You won't.
Get it?
You won't. You won't. Anyway, guys, let's check the chat. How's everyone doing? We got a lot to go on today. I want to see if we can get like 10, 12 people in here before I start chirping my little mouth. Good morning, Flat Earth Underground. You were the first person to enter the chat today, and I want to say thank you. Human Hex Trafficker, how are you doing? Hex Hoddle, good morning, y'all. Good to see you.
Good to see the same people over and over again.
You think that, but their all names are all Hex something.
But human
Human Hex Trafficker. Okay, so I can tell you my usuals. You want to know my usuals? I know them because I tag them every morning. Ninja Chopsticks, Hex Siren, Hex Sander, Hex Celsior, Human Hex Trafficker, Big Papa, P. Who am I missing, P? Oh, Chad Thundercock is always here.
Oh,
Tad Joner Schwange.
Rusty.
I don't know why my audio is not coming through my. I'm gonna unplug this.
Hey, Hexander, how you doing? And Ninja Chopstick.
T-Bird also. T-Bird's always in here. Thank God your name is T-Bird and not like Hex T-Bird, so I could actually remember your freaking name. Hexander, I also like your name. Very easy to remember.
Yes.
Guys, I'm going to say, everyone, like this real quick. Share this out. Let's get some people in here before I start going over the nitty-gritty. I'm trying to be a little bit more the first 30 minutes to be like on topic-ish. So what are we talking about today? Sam, are we in a bear market? What do you think? Sam, whatever you know about the markets, Sam's not an expert on the crypto markets, of course. But Sam, as far as you can see from what you know about bear markets and regular markets, where do you think we're at as a whole and then crypto as a micro?
From my elementary understanding, and I say that because I just started getting into crypto 40 days ago or 2 months ago or something. Even though I had a little bit of understanding, I saw things happen in 2017 when we had that giant run up. But what it feels like right now, as I've been paying attention to it, that we are either in the midst of it or there's something that's about to happen. There's a lot of information that's coming out, right? We have a lot of negativity that's happening right now around crypto. We talked about there's potential regulation or trying to regulate something that's decentralized that's happening in a couple countries around the world. It feels like we're at that beginning stage. Oh, I love 69 too. We're at that beginning stage of something is about to happen, and I don't think it's going to go up. I don't have a full understanding yet, but I don't think it's going to be going up in the short to medium term. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think we're in a bear market, right? We've been in a bear market for 6 months. That all the narratives are narratives, guys. They're narratives. You have to understand where narratives come from. They come from articles. And what are articles made for? Clicks. And then why do they click stuff? Because it's controversial and somewhat not true. That is what the world we live in today, guys. That is the world we live in. So I think we're in a bear market. We've been in a bear market for 6 months, 7 months. Guys, everything is down. Bitcoin's all-time high, 65K. Where's Bitcoin now? 36K or 38K or wherever it's at. I don't even look at that shit anymore because we're in a bear market. We're going down. People need to lose their money. I'm looking at you dorks. The ones that are not certain about what's going on around here and are throwing their money around, we're waiting for you to lose it all. Because that's uncertainty is what, uncertainty in the market and fear. And that's what I'm going to bring up. Fear, emotion. And Wendy's alluded to this a little bit yesterday. And a little bit under the radar, he kind of swung this in. It's like, this is all emotional. This is only emotional. Humans are only emotional. That's what people don't understand. We are human flesh emotion boxes. Like we're not science boxes. You know what I mean? Like we have all this fluid thought, and that's when these kind of charts, and I'm going to share a couple charts with Sam real quick.
And I also have interesting one to share with you when we're done, but yeah, completely agree.
Can you see this?
Not yet. Crypto Gains Club 369 is also here. Welcome. And Max Diginitas.
Can you see this?
Yes, now we can see this.
Okay, so let's read it from the top, guys. This is Fear Greed Index chart for crypto. Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Each day we analyze emotions and sentiments from different sources and crunch them into one simple number, the Fear and Greed Index for Bitcoin in the large cryptocurrency communities. I want to give a shout out from Charlie, Cultivate Crypto. He is the one who showed me this chart years ago. And I've always been looking at it ever since, just for a minute or two in the morning. So let's get to the nitty gritty, guys. We are in extreme fear. That is about as bad as it gets.
Sorry to interrupt. What's the site? I'm going to pull it up at the same time just so I can see it for myself.
Yep.
What's it called?
Just write Fear Greed Index crypto.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and dive into it. Okay.
Do you see the same page I'm on?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Thank you.
So, guys, this is all about these people's interpretations and the studies that they do and the surveys that they put out. So you also want to put that in mind. But they are it's easy to tell, guys. I could have told you all this information somewhat. They just have the more exact numbers. So, guys, we are in a mode of extreme fear. Okay? That means everyone is afraid because they're weak and they don't truthfully know what's going on. They only thought they were smart because number was going up. But what guys like me and guys like Sam do a little bit different is we actually learn. So we can use this extreme fear to our advantage. I know everyone's fearful. Do I seem fearful? Fuck no. I could give two shits if this shit goes to zero, other than my pride. But because I understand that it's going all the way back around again and again and again. Guys, we've been in extreme fear for months.
This is very interesting, this chart here. And then they have other resources on here. So it says extreme fear right now, 24. So this is very fearful.
That's about as pinched as it gets. I mean, you can only get so fearful before you're dead. You can't be 100% fearful. So, guys, this is insanity. The hex. Oh my God, whales, come in here. You won't.
What's up, whales?
So
if you scroll down a little bit, they give an index of this ranking over time. And it looks like most of the time, let's see, since March, this goes back. So I went back for the last 3 months, and there's only been a couple days where the price, I think there's something playing in the background. There's only been a couple days where it has been bullish. If you scroll down on your page a little bit, crypto, or Jimrat, if you scroll down there just a little bit, right there, and then press the 3 months, and you get to see.
Let me read this out for the people. Crypto Fear and Greed Index over time. This is a plot of the Fear and Greed Index over time, where a value of 0 means extreme fear, while a value of 100 represents extreme greed. Okay, so extreme greed is when we're topping out, guys. Whenever we're at 50 cents, 69K, and the top of the market, whatever that may be. If you look back, and I just want to tell people how I use this. When you look back, because I don't listen to other people. People think I do, and I extrapolate a lot of information from other people, but I always go down to charts and try to figure something out in a more, because people make information for this stuff. It's as simple as that, guys. There's analytics. Sam brings it to my attention every single day. Check your Google analytics. Check your TikTok analytics, because then we can get more info for the future. It's just doubling back. Okay, so guys, when we are pinching towards the end of the bear market, we're going to be more so on extreme fear. Everyone's selling their bags because guess what? They longed everything. They told their family they were going to be rich. They had 4 kids and bought a $750,000 house before they should have. And now they're all selling their shit. You can protect yourself from this stuff, guys. If you do things the way the Hexicans and other people that are smart tell you, you can use all these things. Sorry for going off on a rant. You jump in, Sam.
No, you're good. If I went to the max view, so this is the same thing, the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. When you press the max view, this is interesting to put things into perspective. where, I mean, what were we at, 24? If you go back to the very lowest point, August 2019, it was a 33, or I'm sorry, it was 11. It was 11. So 24 is pretty low. 11 is a lot lower. Just because we're low, we're fearful now because of like the macro environment that's going on and several other factors, doesn't mean it couldn't get a lot worse. Like if you believe in the thesis, right, or the past history is probably the best indicator for what's going on in the future, and you've seen Bitcoin, you know, top out at around near $70,000, $65,000. Well, if you take 80% of that value, we still have quite a ways to go before that actually happens. 65,000 times 0.2, right? That's $13,000, $14,000. So, I mean,
Sam, how much do you love this info?
this is awesome.
This is really
fantastic.
good info, guys. You should feel the same way. Not because this chart is the end all be all. Guys, we're working our way around understanding this whole entire concept that is brand new and absolutely exponential with potential. So what we're doing is trying our best to be in the position to understand all these certain things. And these are things that Sam will probably look at on a daily basis now for 1 minute, 30 seconds. And it will change his life because just stuff like this adds information to the pot. Imagine if no one knew market cycles had emotion involved. Imagine how different your interpretation. I know all the plebs that are selling because they're all around me and they say all the same shit. I'm selling my Doge. I'm buying my Doge. I'm doing the Sheeb. Whatever's on the internet, whatever's on the TV, that's what they're buying. You learn all this stuff about people as you go too. This is all just about people. And I always tell Sam, I can tell exactly what the market's doing if I go to my local gym and talk to 100 people. If I go to my local gym and I never have one idea about a computer or anything, because whatever they're buying, that's we're topping out.
That's correct. That is 100% correct. I just shared another screen with you that which I turned to just because I haven't used it for this purpose, so this will be the first time, but it's called Polymarket, and this allows you to basically create bets however you want, and it has kind of like the Reddit feature where if people find value in it, they place bets in it, which means that it goes up in that rankings, but it's a betting market. So it's an interesting way. So you can go to the crypto category and this question, right? Will this crypto project airdrop a native token by the 31st, 2022? And there's $330,000 that's been bet on this market. But sometimes I just go through and look at this because it's interesting to see where people are actually putting their money on these things. So when will Ethereum merge proof of stake? Okay, so let's click on this. Let's see what it says. And you get to go through. These are the different time frames that people are guessing, right? And you get to see the dollar amounts. This is like, where are people actually putting their money? When you, like the video I did the other day, where we look at the search volume on Google or YouTube, like the largest search engine on the planet. That's like, if we search for, say, Pulse Chain or Pulse X, and we get to see that over time that shit's growing, even though we don't necessarily see that in the price, we get to see that people's interest for that information is growing over time. What happens to interest over time? It tends to affect the price. This gives you that, but with actual dollars. So it looks right here that by August 1st, 2022, that it says about 50% of every dollar, 53% of every dollar of this $80,000 that's been staked, or not staked, I'm sorry, that's been bet on this, says that they will do it this year by August 1st. The market doesn't seem super confident in this, but you can actually go in here and bet in the other direction. I'm not saying you should bet, I'm just saying this is a case. And this is another source of stuff that you can turn to.
You know what you need to learn about that I just realized that I even haven't learned about yet? The Aurochs indicators. Hey, Wales, what do you think about the Aurochs indicators? There's this site that Randy uses for trading, and I don't trade at all, guys. Never have, never fucking will. Other than maybe I'll switch a position once every 6 months, just to if I think something's going to go on. I don't trade at all. But looking at Aurochs indicators again, and when to buy, when to sell. Aurochs is AUROX.
Okay, because you saw me writing it down. AUROX.
I wrote this on my to-do list this morning, so I'm going to open this up. And fuck, I think you have to pay for it and shit. So maybe we'll do that on another time. But if anyone can write in the comments, okay, if anyone that has any idea about the Aurochs indicators, just another chart to look at for just sentiment in the market. Again, I only look for sentiment in the market. I do not care. Sam, let me pull up something crazy, and I want you to point out exactly where you, guys, I know Sam hasn't looked at this chart because I know him, and this is just not the stuff he's been looking into. I assume he hasn't looked at this. I want to know what he thinks on this one. We're pulling up the market cycle chart. So it shows you a whole cycle, like what a whole cycle looks like. And then it puts an describing word at each part. So
okay.
whatever.
Okay.
So let me.
Yeah. You pull that up.
I'm things I've seen this.
I'm going to say hi to everybody. Whales only. What's up? And Siren. Hey, how's it going, Siren? What's up? We've got Crypto Games Club. Randy and his devs developed it, I believe. Oh, that's interesting. That's in regards to something you had asked. Flat Earth Underground, free indicators. There's also, I like to look at the interest, I think I showed this a while back, on Alexa.com, and you can rank people's websites to see the popularity in terms of estimated search or like traffic on the site, how long somebody stays there, the bounce rate, to get an interest of like two sites, like how popular is this versus this, based on how many people are actually going to their site. Because when you think about who goes to the actual site, like if you're gonna, who's gonna go to actually hex.com or pulsetrade.com or pulsex.com, like you have to be deep as fuck into what you're, if you're just into crypto slightly, you're gonna have no idea what those are. You're not gonna go to those websites. But let's go into this chart you pulled up. So Wall Street cheat sheet, psychology of markets. So you're muted. Hope, disbelief we have on the far left here when the price is low.
All right, so here, let me pull this up. Full. All right, so let me explain this a little bit to you and then kind of let you know what it means to me as far as just the whole thing. This is the wall. This thing has been around for forever, by the way. Like this is an old as dirt chart. I bet P has seen this chart 100,000 times because she's in finance. So guys, at the start of a cycle, this is when a cycle starts. So this is like the end of this is the start of this, if you can see that. So where this ends, this starts. You see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So right now, Euphoria, we can just assume that was the top, right?
Correct.
Euphoria, 69K Bitcoin, right?
Yep.
69K Bitcoin. Then guess what everyone does? They long. They go long. They say, I know it's been going up for so long, so optimistic, just start to buy, believe, thrill, oh my God, I will buy more on margin. Gotta tell everyone to buy. This is when all the noobs start shilling. Guys, this is when I get too excited. This is when everyone gets too excited. It's just natural. The more you go through it, the less excited you get. Then the euphoria comes in. This is where whales start to dollar cost average out. Whales will start to dollar cost average out here to not dump the market. But then once the trend changes right here, you see that, Sam?
Yep.
That's the major dump. And then after that, the mental space for people can't recover. No, you can't. There's not enough economic energy and human energy to recover. So everyone starts complacently. We just need a cool off for the next rally. Anxiety. Why am I getting margin calls? This dip is taking longer than expected. Denial. My investments are with great companies. They will make it back. Panic. Shit, everyone is selling. I need to get out. That's right now. That is right where we're at. I'm sorry, guys. I hate to tell you the truth about this, but we're right around this area, guys. But it's not forever. Understand, this is the best opportunity in history for those that are smart enough to capitalize. That is what this all comes down to. Who is smart enough to capitalize? Who is willing to put their emotions aside? Crypto has nothing to do with emotions. The chart certainly does, the actual thing, but for you, it should not. The better way to do it is to forget emotions and to learn. Because if you learn, you can just capitalize on all of this stuff. And one last point on that.
Because you're basically just talking about if you know this is the history of what happens, right? Shit goes up and shit goes
In
up.
general,
Shit goes down in general. And you don't know those specific points unless you're like really,
people
really
never learn this stuff. You're so deep into learning, dude, you don't know what it's like. You're too much of a learner. You don't even know what it's like. I know what it's like not to be a learner because it was not that long ago for me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I know what
interesting.
it's like to be a total dumb fuck pleb that did not give one shit whether he was doing a project or jerking off or smoking weed. I just was just flimsy, right? I had no real, because I was led astray. Well, I wasn't led astray, but I was just didn't know where the fuck I was going. Like now I know where I'm going, right? It took me years and years and years. For whatever reason, you caught on to that learning thing and taking your self-pride out of it a little quicker than I did, right? You got into that.
But I'm older than you, so it's not.
No,
like,
I know, but I know your story. So I know you were in like your early 20s when you started saying kind of like everyone else is dumb.
Yeah.
It took me until like this year. So like I know the market because I was the market. Like I know what it's like to want to buy Hex because it's going up. And the only thing, now I'm just settling down. You need to go through full cycle to see this all through, or you literally cannot figure it out that well.
It's crazy. But that's what because you can't, like we've talked about it before, but I think it's such a good example. You can't explain what sex is like and how it feels and the experience you go through unless you don't have fucking sex.
Go through that real quick. I'm going to invite Randy HILARSKI on to teach us about the Aurochs indicator.
Yes. Okay. Perfect.
He's on. So, but I want you to say that part. Why is it like sex? Like we talk about that a lot. Why is that like sex? Why are those two things very comparable? Because you can teach a kid. Go on. I like the way you explain it.
Because think about anything that we're really good at. And you can't take what you're really good at and explain that to somebody else. It's not going to click. Just like you cannot explain what sex is unless you have sex. There's no way you can possibly understand. You can understand the like, oh, you take the penis and you put it in the vagina. Like you understand that, but you do not understand sex. It's completely different. Randy, what's good, brother? How you doing? Thank you for coming out.
I wasn't expecting any schlong talk.
We were comparing sex to the overall market, Randy.
Okay.
We were
going in and out.
We were talking about the psychology of a market and how I could tell you everything's going to go down 80% and then up 1,100%. But until you go through it, just like sex, until you could say all you want when you're 12 and you're like, what is this stuff? What is this stuff? Like you're so confused and you're so like, and until you go through a couple relationships or like a couple whatever, you don't really know.
Uh-huh. It's exactly like there was somebody that just tweeted. Stroke and find out a bit. Someone tweeted a little while ago, I think it was TAP on Twitter. He's like, oh, I bought the top again, this time in Hedron. He goes, I'm so mad at myself. I'm like, man, it's not like I wasn't with a bullhorn telling everybody that it's overbought. I was like,
I'm still gonna go. I think I love Hedron even the short term, to be honest.
Yeah,
short term, I mean like a month or 3 months or so.
Yeah. I mean,
Randy,
I'm not faulting him for doing that, but I was out a long time ago.
Do you? I read through their white paper, and later on, I want to show like an example of like potential opportunity with them. But I personally don't see any reason to hold Hedron long term. Like
the only reason to hold it would be to speculate or to look to buy people's if they default and they're not paying on their loans, which could really happen. It could happen because you have to pay a certain amount of Hedron back, and it's a set number. And if the price goes up 100x, if you don't have Hedron and you can't afford to pay back, you're going to lose your stake. And that's if you don't have those liquid. So I would recommend anybody who does take a loan on Hedron, to have that large bag of Hedron on the side. Do not touch it. Then take the loan and pay back with that large bag that you have, and just in case the price of Hedron goes through the roof. If the price of Hedron goes down, who cares? You still have your bag, and you can sell some other crypto to pay off your loan. But what's likely to happen is the Hedron price is going to increase. It's going to go up, and you're not going to be able to pay your loan off.
Do you? I think that it's going to be correlated with Hex, but I don't think it's going to be a 1-to-1. Like maybe Hex goes up by like a 3x, and then Hedron goes up by like 0.5x.
Yeah,
or
it'll
like
be something like that. That's how I feel it will be too. But hey, it's a perpetual money printer. I can't hate on Hedron. I will always print mine every couple of years and take the profits and enjoy. Dude, it's free money.
Please, guys, listen to Randy when he talks about the free money stuff. He's people really trick you out about the free money stuff, and it's kind of sick, to be honest, because for guys like me, let's put in my position, right? Like I get $5,000 of free money, and like for me to cash out 1,000 of that, I'm some sort of fucking moron. Like I'm a moron. Scott, that could change you for. Hey, I have a special guest for you, I think. Oh, hold on one sec. I'm sorry about totally forgetting about the conversation. I'm electric with dopamine right now. But can you explain to me how I can use the Aurochs indicator on the daily and just look at it?
Sure. So the Aurochs indicator is the simplest thing you're going to use in your TA toolbox because you don't have to think. It's for dumb folks like me. I don't like trying to learn TA. So all the Aurochs indicator does, it's a artificial intelligence that tells you either to look at the market going down or look at the market going up or buy and sell, whatever you want to call it. So when the Aurochs indicator paints green and it says, oh, you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, so the market is telling us that it's going up. So then you start buying, right? The thing for me, though, is I use it different than other people. I don't do it immediately when the Aurochs indicator tells me to buy. I wait until the next candle hits. So if that's the 4-hour chart, I wait for the next 4-hour candle to hit to confirm, or the next daily. The only one I don't do that is the monthly, because the monthly, obviously, it's a long period of time. So when the Aurochs candle or Aurochs sell or buy signal comes out, I'm like, okay, it knows what it's talking about, because Aurochs is better the longer the term. It gets better. It's more accurate.
What is that based on? Do they talk about that?
I don't even know. All I know is I've used it for 4 years, and it's like gold. Okay, so anything that helps you improve your trading experience is going to be a good thing in your assets and your toolbox, I should say. And so for TA people, it's just a confirmation. For non-TA people like myself, it's what I use. So they say that it's about 70% right most of the time. So 70%. Imagine going to the casino and you improve your chances by 70%. I'll take that shit all day long. So that's the way I look at it.
And that's everything in life to an extent too. It's like you have to hedge your bets when you start a company. Guys act like, is that? No, most 99% of companies fail and burn. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so guys, what are we supposed to do? Like, these are resources. Exactly. Randy doesn't wake up and hit that Aurochs indicator and rip his whole bank account out and dump it in there because it's green on the daily. He just thinks about stuff.
Yeah, I think about it, and I wait, because sometimes the indicator will disappear, especially if you're using a short time frame. I mean, I had somebody comment a couple months back, like, oh, yeah, I used the 15-minute and I bought, and then the indicator disappeared and the price went down. It's like, hey, dumbass, I've made so many videos and I've told you, do not use it on the 15-minute. It's not meant for that. It's meant for the daily, weekly, monthly. That's what it's meant for, long-term trading. It's not meant for people who are in and out every 15 minutes.
How do you use that? Are you going through and actually trading, or are you using that as an indicator of like when to get into things and acquire? Or are you like? I'm
trading. I'm trading now. I got back into it a little bit. I know this is so sacrilegious when it comes to hex, but I have a large liquid bag. Oh my motherfuck hell!
Hey, Randy, I was going to say I got a special guest for you, Randy. I have a feeling you guys are friends, and I don't know if you're friends.
Yeah, we are.
I do. There's no chance these guys aren't bros. Like,
no,
dude,
we're cool.
Crypto, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing real good, man. Well, really sleepy, but real good.
I watched
you're a couple hours behind.
Yeah, man. It was kind of funny. We're on the stream. Tokyo ended up having a huge ass earthquake, like a 7.3 earthquake on stream and shit.
Kidding me?
Nah, man. The whole buildings were shaking and stuff. It was crazy, man. We're like, oh shit. We ended the stream early.
Now, I don't know where you live, but are you in that area?
No, I'm not in Japan. I'm in California.
Just the guys you were working with.
Yeah. They had an earthquake live. It was pretty crazy. The dogs were freaking out in the background and stuff. It was insane.
How's Happy doing?
Doing pretty good, I guess.
Little earthquake. Never hurt anyone. Guys, we're talking about the Aurochs indicator now. This is my personal trainer and new podcast buddy, Sam Stolt. Dollar Cost, Sam Stolt.
Hey, thanks for coming on. I think Crypto or Jim Rat has mentioned you a couple times, or do you also have a YouTube channel? Because I feel like I'm subscribed. He was like, hey, you should check out this person who's subscribed. You should check out this person who's subscribed. And I believe I'm subscribed to your, I don't know all the channels, but I believe I subscribe to your channel. What type of stuff are you covering?
Well, Hex ecosystem to basically other L1s and yield farm. I'm mostly talking a lot about yield farming opportunities, and then the Hex ecosystem, and then the Pulse chain and everything else.
I mentioned certain people to certain people, right? Like when I know someone like Sam's my personal trainer, I know him intimately. He wants to know about all of these things, right? Some people don't give a fuck, right? and Dollar Cost knows that, but I want to know about all these things too. I've been learning about Luna and all this shit, and my mind has opened up a lot. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, I was under the impression I was a little bit hypnotized. And I'm not saying that I think Richard Hart projects are the best, and they have 97% of my money in them. But I want to learn everything so I can be more effective. Like, I'm not necessarily like a yield farming guy. Like, I just want to do this kind of stuff. But there's people like Sam that would love all of that information, like love it. And that's why I said, Sam, you should look up Dollar Cost. He's talking about Phantom. He's talking about yield farming. He's just talking about the shit.
What's the most exciting thing that you're paying attention to right now? Like over the last week, 2 weeks, where you're like, oh, this thing's super interesting. Have you had any of those moments recently? And if so,
yeah.
what is it about?
Well, in terms of the, right now I'm just hyper concentrated right now on the Phantom ecosystem right now, just because I'm waiting for Pulse Chain to launch one day.
But didn't Kanye quitting make you nervous?
No. I mean, it just dumped the market. It just dumped the market, but now we've bottomed out already, and we're starting to go back up again.
Kanye was one of the founders, guys.
Yeah, well, yeah, one of the guys that started it back in the day. He's basically Andre Congrier is basically one of the founding fathers of DeFi and yield farming. Pretty much started Urine Finance and a bunch of other projects as well. Phantom. Well, he didn't start Phantom, but he came on later onto the team and basically was one of the main engineers on there, and was one of the main persons who actually helped inspire Curve and Convex and all that other jazz and stuff, which are the biggest DeFi protocols on Ethereum right now, other than Hex, of course. But in terms of they don't count us, right? But but in terms of, you check DeFi Llama and stuff, we were talking about $20 billion but on Curve, and then another, I think, 18 billion on Convex. So we're talking about like $48 billion of Ethereum assets locked up on these protocols, and like Andre had like a hand in kind of inspiring all that, along with there's someone called Kane Warwick, which is the founder of Synthetics, who is the actual person who invented yield farming and DeFi. So those guys are all people that started together. But yeah, go ahead.
I want to hear all.
He's writing all of this down, by the way, guys. So he really is. He's writing everything down.
So I was talking to a buddy this morning, and I talked to him about crypto. He's not into it like I am, but he's paying attention to it just from the synthesis of being around me or talking to me. And he was like, hey, I started to tell my dad about crypto, and his dad was like, oh, it's not regulated, so I'm not going to put money into it. Which is exactly my thought. I laughed. I was like, this is why it's an opportunity. Like the people like my dad might put in a tiny bit, but it'll be like a fraction of 1% of like what he's worth, right? And that's where the opportunity comes, because as soon as they try to regulate it, and the people like that feel, oh, it's comfortable now, right? It's regulated, right? Would you realize real estate's fucking regulated? The stock market's regulated. Any business that you're in is probably regulated. Like, and what are your thoughts on that? Because we talked about like some of that stuff is they're trying to do in the UK and China, and do you have like any thoughts on just that in general, or the floodgates opening up?
I'll go first.
Please.
Yeah, we'll let Randy go.
I love magic brownies. They're not regulated.
They're regulated here in DC. Actually, you can go right downtown here and you can get all the brownies or the chocolate bars over here.
Okay, so everyone in blue states can get their regulated brownies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to pay too much for them too, and you actually have to buy a T-shirt in order to buy the product. It's really weird.
That's funny.
It's like this little you know how like when they sell certain steroids, it's like for lab use only.
Yeah.
Over here, it's like if you buy a T-shirt, it's like a donation, and then they give you shroom chocolate bars. It's like
I
the
don't.
dumbest thing ever.
I don't think most people actually in this community probably got that reference, other than me, in terms of the steroids or
Yeah, you're
research
right. Why am I
compounds.
talking about like we're on a bodybuilding?
I got that. No worry, I got that.
Go on. Sorry for interrupting.
No, go ahead, Randy.
No, I was just saying. I mean, the unregulated markets are the free markets, and those are the ones I approve of 100%. Once these things are regulated, I get bored.
God, yeah, which is, I mean, they're trying to regulate stuff right now. So in terms of just the overall like large macro scale of kind of what's going on in the world economies, you basically have the United States kind of and Russia. I mean, I'm sorry, not Russia. I'm sorry, China in sort of an arms race where China was kind of the first one to act, and they've been developing the digital RMB for about since 2015, basically trying to make their their currency to a digital currency, and it's pretty freaking scary because once they get their entire 1 billion people on that digital currency and stuff, they can essentially make your money disappear instantly. They have complete control over it.
Programmable money.
Programmable money, which is really, really scary because it's like, Sam, if you don't spend this money in the next 24 hours, it's just going to disappear anyway. Shit. So you have to spend it. So it's forced spending. So they're like, hey, yeah, we fucked up. We caused a human atrocity. Here's $1,000 in our currency. Let's go spend it. You have 24 hours to do it. Sorry. And then they have to spend it. It's pretty insane. That and the United States is basically, since around that same time, haven't developed their own sort of system of that. That's not going to be as bad, but still it's pretty terrible. It's going to be pretty bad, but it's sort of got a kind of an Achilles heel, because if they onboard a bunch of people into using it's basically what they're showing them is how to use USDC on a government wallet, that eventually people are going to be like, oh, this crypto stuff's not as hard and it's going to onboard more people. So that's one of the silver linings in it. But a lot of people are going to become pretty sheeple to it as well. And that's the hard part, because the way they're going to get people to use this stuff is like, hey, you want the next stimulus money? You sign up for the wallet. Okay. And boom, right there, they got them. That's how they start onboarding people into that. But it's a really weird sort of catch-22. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if the United States doesn't do it, then China does it, and then they're trying to get control of their whole economic system. So there's that part, and then there's corporations right now in the larger crypto space that are trying to control certain portions of DeFi right now. You have JP Morgan essentially secretly buying up all the main entities in Ethereum right now, which is freaking scary. They got consensus already, and there's enough smoke to say that they're starting to acquire MetaMask as we speak, which is really scary, actually. So yeah, that's not cool. So
that means we're moving away from fucking MetaMask.
Oh, of course. No, that's the point. I mean, we're doing this. I mean, it's not a mystery why I think Richard's doing what he's doing right now. Really.
Real quick, Miguel, my chat got disabled. Do you have any? Do you know how that occurs? I've never happened to me before. I might have pressed something though.
Did you put this is for kids?
Ah, shit! I was just editing that shit.
Yep. There, that'll do it.
Thank you. That's why you ask guys that know more than you guys. Okay.
Yeah, live chat's gone.
It stopped.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, they've been using welfare and food stamps as a test for this for years, right?
Right.
Right. If you don't do what they say, you don't get your food stamps. You don't do this, you lose your what is it when you lose your job? What do they call that?
Oh, unemployment
insurance. If you don't do this, you don't go get 8 interviews this week, you're going to lose your unemployment insurance. So they've been testing this stuff for a long time. It's more control. What I tell everybody, like, I made a video the other day, get that FU money. If you can get that FU money, you're going to be all set. But if you guys are lollygagging and playing around right now, and you don't get financially free in the next couple of years, I don't know what to say for you. I'm sorry. I mean, we told you.
It's tough, right? Right now, it's the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You got the golden ticket right now. You literally do, right now. I mean, it's even though I'm not saying the JP Morgan thing has completely happened yet, and that's not going to happen right now. But you basically get a MetaMask, get some Ethereum, get some Hex, and then get off, and then get into other DeFi platforms and stuff. And then eventually, when Pulse Chain launches, and we'll be playing around in that ecosystem. But this is what I've been teaching my students: is learn some of these other systems right now while you can, so when Pulse Chain launches, you're really familiar with it. And this is something that's actually kind of scares me a lot with the Hexicans, is that most Hexicans haven't really done anything in DeFi other than MetaMask and using Uniswap. basically, and they haven't really been yield farming or LPing at all because there's really not been much of an economic incentive to provide liquidity on V3 Uniswap.
Can you like I've had crypto on the peripheral for several years, but I didn't actually be like, oh, I'm gonna start fucking paying attention until about 2 months ago. LP, can you just explain that to like a noob?
Yeah, of course.
What you were just talking about, and you said something else before LP. I don't remember.
Yeah. So it's called a liquidity provider token, an LP. So what that means is you're parking your money in a pool, and because you did, you get a certain incentive for doing so in the system. So let's just say I provide Hex. So an LP typically, especially the system that we're going to have in Pulse Chain, it's going to be a 50-50 split. So in order for me to create an LP token, I have to put $1 of Hex and $1 of USDC. In a pool, it fuses them together and they become one token. That's an LP token. And what happens is, depending on the price of the tokens, it's always going to be worth $2, depending on the price of the tokens, but it fluctuates up and down like this. So sometimes you have half a Hex, sometimes you have 2 Hex, sometimes you have 3/4 of a Hex, and the same thing with the dollar side, just depending on what Hex does on the price going up and down, which is called impermanent loss. So, but that's getting a little bit more into the technical, into being a little too technical. But basically, all it is you're taking 2 tokens together and fusing them together, and then it's basically a receipt. Like, oh, thank you for depositing this at the bank. Now you get to put this receipt in this pool, and now you essentially lent your money to everyone else in order for people to buy and sell and trade back and forth. You're the liquidity.
So you have been paying attention to this a lot longer. All you guys have been paying attention longer than I have. And in the traditional legacy world of finance, there's been like something that's been growing called FIRE over the last 5, 6, 8, 10 years. Financial independence, retire early is like okay. So in that, they have something called the 4% rule. There was a study, Trinity study, and basically if you withdraw about 4% of your portfolio, you can safely use that to live off of without ever touching the principal balance, assuming standard returns of like 8 to 10%, indexed or whatever. Given that the returns in crypto and yield farming in crypto are so staggering better than legacy, you to get to $1 million, so you're going to need $1 million of legacy fiat to basically get $40,000 to live off. A lot of people can live off of $40,000, but a lot of people would much rather have $60, $80, $120,000. What do you see as like the number that the masses, right? Like a very so we can get to way more people. That number where they can be like, okay, I can have $250,000 and I'm earning 25%, which allows me. Where do you see that like number as like the nest egg?
The nest egg number, I would probably say 10 to 20% a year. Basically, you can get away with 10%, 20% a year, but that's if you're on a like something like a Hex, right? You're earning 40% a year. You got stuff laddered out. You can basically spend your interest and then put out the principal. So it's more of a question of like, how much of my interest that I gained on the Hex stake am I restaking to the future again? Versus like, am I just going to keep all the interest? For the other cryptos, it's a little more dependent on sort of APY or APRs that you're earning out in the marketplace. But basically, the average APR that you should be earning in the space is about 20 to basically 200% APR, somewhere in that range. But on average, you're going to be earning safely between 70 to 20% APR in the market.
200%.
Yeah, oh yeah, I do that.
There's some that make more than that.
That's a Tuesday. That's like a Tuesday or whatever. That's nothing.
in just yield farming. So okay, so this is brand fucking new to me.
Yeah, but this is something you have to always be watching.
Correct.
It changes daily.
Yes.
Can you talk to that, Randy? Can you tell
sure.
Brand new to me.
I was recently doing it on a Pulse chain, just relaunched their project, and I was playing with their yield farming and stuff. And in the first couple of days, I was making 2,000%, and then it went down to 1,000%, then 700%, and 500 and 300. And at 300, I pulled the plug, and I said, okay, I'm gonna take my money back, put it somewhere else. I just want to give everyone an update. The Aurochs indicator just went green on the daily. We just pumped 12.2 cents. So does not mean to buy now for me. I just what I I would say to wait until tomorrow's paint and make sure that it stays there, and then I'll be buying back in. I would not be chasing the indicator right at the current moment, because if someone does come in and dumps $1 million worth of hex, it'll be back into the red. So
for anyone who's new in here from my Instagram or anything, like the people that have no idea about crypto, I do have a lot of people from my just like my regular life that come in here and they DM me all day long, like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Basically is what they ask. Guys, we're talking about cryptocurrency. We're talking about the best ways to make money in cryptocurrency. And to me, in my opinion, I'm a pleb. I have been dollar costing average on this dip for hex, not more than I can sleep with, just enough where I don't mind it in my personal life constantly. That has been my number one goal, to find ways to make money in this market right now. And I'm not saying make money fiat, but like, where can I put my money and invest it in this bear market right now? We are in a bear market, in my opinion. I don't know the specifics of all that stuff, but we've been down for 6 months. We've all been here chilling. It's all the same.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Legitimately,
it's hard to when your hex is just like, you could just keep looking at the number. You're like, okay, cool.
If you're earning 200%, that statement makes 100% sense though. Like, if you're earning even at 50%, I just pulled this up because I thought this was interesting. This is the weekly chart of hex, and this looks pretty interesting to me, right? This run up right here, I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
I was to guess, from my
the 1
personal
hour
opinion, I have limit orders under 9 and 8 cents for sure.
Gotcha.
That's my personal opinion. That's on matcha.xyz. I don't think this is over. I think there's pain to be had still, in my opinion, but I don't know much, guys. I'm just random.
You might not be wrong there. I mean, like, obviously, of course, we could have the random, like Richard Hart says, snapshot coming in 2 days. And the price shoots up, but that's always like, but that I don't think that's personally coming until about like after tax season, basically. Like, I think most of the market, I think we're gonna have a little bit of a relief pump on the overall crypto market after April 15th, tax season. Then from there, we're probably gonna get another correction, and then probably because here's the thing is like, so you have L1, something like Phantom, Pulse Chain and stuff, like once it launches, it's sort of this whole thing where they're more retail dominated, where you can get kind of retail not giving a fuck so much that they end up kind of breaking off and doing their own thing during certain parts of the market, where you have Bitcoin and Ethereum being completely about the overall macro space, which is like, if the equity market takes a shit, that actually crashes Bitcoin and Ethereum, because you have so much institutional money and people get scared and people are taking leverage, and then that causes liquidations. So it's sort of the weird thing where, like, if we end up, because right now where it's going on is the Fed is increasing the Fed's fund rate, which basically makes it more expensive to get a house and everything like that, as well as like where banks and people can take loans out. But they're also printing money at the same time, which is really weird. So we're getting like stagflation in a way where like they're increasing the rates and printing money at the same time. But eventually we're in this weird thing where we're in the business of money printers. Effectively, yeah. We're in currencies. So if they're printing currencies, which we're valuing against our cryptocurrencies, then our cryptocurrencies start getting that value. And if you look at, like, in terms of how big of the population of the world even owns cryptocurrencies, I'm being generous here and saying 2% of the population, and 80% of those people are holding less than $2,000. So everybody on this call right here, as well as in the chat, are in the top 20th percentile of 2%. The crypto holders in the world,
which is fucking insane, guys. Listen to what he's saying. We're so early. This is disgustingly early, guys. The nerds, the guys, the entrepreneurs are finding this stuff out. Those are the first guys who find stuff out, guys. And then once my mom finds out, it's over. That's what I usually say. If I go to my local gym, and I tell people this, if I didn't know one thing about where we were in the market, but I had all the information right now, I could go to my local gym and talk to 100 people and find out exactly where we are. If they say they're buying SHIB, buying the top, buying NFTs, life is good, it's over. It's over. It's over.
I had two questions for you guys, because you have more experience in than I do. First, where are each of like a source that you go to for finding this type of information, right? Like, where are you going to see there's a project that's 2,000% or something that's giving you 70%? And then the second question is, PulseX or Pulse Chain, your thoughts on which is more popular? Because I did a data like analysis using Google search volume, YouTube search volume, and Alexa, which ranks the sites. And PulseX on YouTube search, Google search, which are the two largest search engines in the planet. So it shows interest, right? Like, people are not going to go to the, pulsex.com or pulsechain.com unless they're actually serious about it. And PulseX is higher on both YouTube and on Google search volume, as well as which obviously makes sense, right? Their website is ranked higher.
But that's only because of the timing, Sam. Because
but is it because I haven't seen a drop off? I did not see a drop off.
I know, because there's dudes that are that just sacrifice for PulseX that have no idea what Pulse Chain is. There's people that have that's how stupid you have to get with this shit, Sam. You have to really dumb it down when you're talking about the actual market. Right?
I got a perfect example for this, guys. Perfect example. I have it. My friend's ETH Whale, lives here in Panama. We were out to dinner. I think it was Valentine's Day. We're sitting there talking, and I brought up Pulse Chain. He goes, "Oh, I sacrificed for Pulse Chain." No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. I just did it last week or 2 weeks ago. Whenever it was during the PulseX sack. I said, "No, man, that was PulseX." He goes, "What's PulseX?" I said, "It's a copy of Uniswap." And he's like, "What? Oh, okay, but cool. I can swap my PulseX for Pulse Chain when it launches, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And that's what a lot of people are going to do. And that's why I think the price of PulseX will suffer in the beginning. It will not perform as well as Pulse Chain, but Pulse Chain out the gate, hold that rocket, bros.
Yep. I'm agreeing 100% with Randy here. Randy's totally got this completely right. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Initially. A little bit initially. After 2 months, then, because in the beginning, right, it's a bunch of, so more people heard of PulseX, the liquid loans and all these Mintras and all these sacks that happened recently. A lot of people ended up missing out on the original Pulse Chain sacrifice phase, which is crazy because we were like, I was shouting from fucking rooftops, telling people about it.
It was pumping.
You should have been talking to me. I didn't hear about.
Hey, I was Sam. You saw me online. I just started pumping that shit. I was in way before the first Pulse sacrifice. So like, I was there and it was pumping and I was making money over. I was like, this is amazing. No one listened to me. They all call me Stupido, and they're still calling me Stupido.
That's interesting. Randy. That's a really good point. Because
I'm telling you, this is a guy who knows crypto. He knows DeFi. He uses Curve. He's using Phantom. He's using all of these, and yet he didn't understand that PulseX was not Pulse Chain.
Damn.
That's what I'm saying. You have to realize no one researches anything unless those couple guys, us guys, you know what I mean? Like the us guys that want to pay. I'm sure Miguel has paid people for information in his younger life because he did not know what or whatever. Like I was paying people the way that I did it. No one was telling me anything. I just found guys like Sam. Sam was a bodybuilder, right? I was like, Sam, what the do? I want to be muscular. And this was before I cared about money at all. And he was like, I know the way. Here we go. I got you. And then vice versa with the crypto stuff, guys. This is complicated. This is extremely complicated. I don't care what anyone says. I'm a pretty smart dude. And this is every single day I'm learning every single hour.
You need to spend hours per day on this.
Every hour. Yes.
I know Miguel's way ahead of me on that. I maybe do 30 minutes or so because I'm pretty much Pulse Chain centric right now. But I know Miguel's out there doing the octopus thing, and I just don't have time for it or the mental energy for it. Hey, Bitfinesse, where the fuck you, bro?
I don't have kids. I don't have kids right now.
You don't have kids, man. I got a midget that drives me crazy.
I got $800 a month is all I need to live.
Which is beautiful. Where do you guys go to get
your
what is your top source or your top thing for information? So that was the second part of that.
Insider information.
Yeah. Where is this?
Behind the scenes, dude, with Wendy, with Dollar Cost, with Randy. That's where
I go to all the Illuminati conventions. I mean, that's where I get it all. It's weird. It depends on the ecosystem, but typically, at least outside of like the Hex, I find that there's more like YouTube green room stuff for Hex and Telegram for Hex. where in terms of where conversations are had, versus another L1s, it's mostly I see it mostly on Twitter, and then some really niche YouTubers basically. So it's this really weird thing where, like, I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, basically search up any cryptocurrency that you think you want to reach, an overall cryptocurrency, and one thing you can do is actually search by, like, let's just say, like, I don't know, let's just say eventually, like, Pulse Chain ecosystem, right? Like, what is Pulse Chain ecosystem? And then what you do is then Pulse Chain crypto, put Pulse Chain cryptocurrency at the end, and then search by date posted, and then you can break it down to, like, the last week or the last month. So the way that happens is if you view a topic, and then on YouTube, it's really simple, because, like, the new Google is basically YouTube. I know it's owned by everything by Google, but it's more, you can learn information faster just by Googling on YouTube. So he's like, what is a Pulse Chain? And you can just watch 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 videos, and 90% of the videos are the same information, except each YouTuber ends up having a little bit different information. So basically, by listening to about 10 videos on the same subject, you roughly get a good picture of it. Then from there, you go Pulse Chain crypto. Because and then when you search YouTube like that, then you end up getting kind of the current news, and you end up getting more general crypto chats. So once you've learned what it is, then you get more into the general crypto chat. And I usually like to start off, like, in the last month, then you put it down to, like, this week. Then you start finding small, tiny channels. And these guys who have small, tiny channels, what ends up happening is they're all in on this projects typically. So they're just super niched into one thing. So then you hear the juice that you're not being able to, you're not in the private chats, or not in the private Discords or the Telegram chats, and you can start listening to stuff, and then you start catching the rhythm. So it's like a game of hopscotch, and then eventually you start listening to enough of these people, and then you start, like, you got it.
You get the pulse. Is that how also you get the strings to, like, pull on to find these other projects?
Correct.
Where you're making 2,000% in, over the course of several weeks.
Yeah. So it's a sort of thing where, like, we all have this in a way where we're all professional. We've been viewing YouTube long enough, most of us, that we know when someone's got it, in a way. So you can recognize talent. We all can recognize talent, basically, right? Since we all found Richard Hart, we saw something like, oh shit, got it. That's what it is. So what
this
is
put
something
you in that position? Why you, Dollar Cost? You were so sure. You weren't 100% sure. No one could have possibly been, but you had faith when most 99.9999999% of people just looked at it and said, I don't like it. It seems weird.
I mean, it's just, I can, if I've done the research and I feel like I'm right, then I'm going to go into it. I mean, like, I lost like, when I first got into Hex, I lost, like, so many of my friends, like my crypto buddies and everything. Like, everyone just thought it wasn't, like, yeah, except for Randy and a couple other, maybe Anorak. Shout out to Anorak. He's one of my few NFT buddies that I kept and stuff like that. I mean, some of the biggest guys in NFTs right now, I knew them personally, and they just, like, out of my life, basically, and it's whatever. But
it's like when you get locked up or something, it's just like people be like, it's the same vibe. I was here watching Dollar Cost the whole time. I was actually in the Hex community in the beginning, but I had no Hex, and everyone just told me it was a scam. So I just stayed away from it. But, like, I remember vividly Dollar Cost looking at the camera, blush in the face, people attacking him, and him being like, I believe in this. He just said, I believe in this. Like that. He wasn't even like, I'm 100% sure, dump all your money in. He was just like, I believe in this, and I think this could work out. And that's what actually got me. And that's why I'm always up in Dollar Cost's DMs. He probably doesn't even know why. I was watching his stuff. He's the reason I'm in Hex. Truthfully, Dollar Cost Crypto is literally probably 50% of the reason that I'm in Hex was his conviction. All had to do with his conviction, and probably the way he studied and actually looked into things really early. And that's why I want to bring some of that to this channel for sure.
So you can send him the payment for that afterwards, after we get off or whatever. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Can I get your guys' thoughts on? So I'm coming from the legacy world of finance. My background's in finance and accounting, and when I looked into Hedron, and it's just printing money, right? So this morning I actually put together an example where you can basically lend or borrow on Hedron at a very, very low cost. I'm going to share a screen with you.
I really want your guys' take on this, because Sam's from the financial world, so he thinks about everything from the financial side of things.
And it'll take me a second to explain it, but I want to hear your thoughts because, like, what am I missing? Or you're, by based on what you're saying, you're like, this is way too complex. There's no fucking reason to do this. Sam, like, you could just yield farm and you get the same results. Okay, so this morning the price of HEX was this. If in this example you had a stake for 15 years and you had 10 T shares, currently you get a bonus of 9x. So you get 8x plus 1, so it's 9x of hedron. This 10 T shares would translate into 10,000 B shares because it's trillion versus billion, which would, if you borrowed, this is the rate. So any formulas in here, I just utilized from the hedron white paper. So you're basically getting 55 million hedron at a current price this morning of like 0.00 blah blah blah. The payment portion is 300K principal, and the interest payment. This is the interest payment at 37% because I thought it's not 38% anymore for HEX. I thought it was like 37%. But that's how they derive their interest rate. And so the principal, the interest you're going to pay on your payment is $4,500, but they don't charge you on the balance. They only charge you on the payment, which is unique because credit cards don't work that way. Like in like legacy, that's not how shit fucking works. So your total payment is going to be 300 grand. So now what you mentioned, Randy, earlier, you're like, well, the price could go up drastically and then you need to pay back at a higher price. And if you sold out, then you got to buy back at a higher price and you're fucked, right? So if you took, say, a 24-month reserve, so you take this, because this is not going to change, times 24 months, that's 7.3 million. That leaves you a delta of 48 million hedron. If you convert that to HEX, that's 1,800. Now, if we go over here, that if you stake that for say 2 years, and I think it's probably closer to 18%, but I put it 15%. So you stake that for 2 years. Remember, because you have a reserve for 2 years, you're gonna end up with 2175 in HEX at the end of your stake, right? If you believe that over the next 2 years is 1,000x in, I had originally done this for a year and a half, but if you believe it was 1,000x over the next 2 years, then the price would be, you know, $111 for HEX, and hedron would be 0.004 cents. If that also had 1,000x, which I don't believe would, which would just give you a profit of this, and then you pay back your loan right here. This is what you use to pay back your loan at the higher price, and you'd have this basically extra free money right here just from borrowing. Like you go through this process, you borrow your shit, you stake it, and in 2 years you have an extra $37,000 profit, and you could change these numbers. You're like, well, I don't think it's going to be 1,000x. It'll be 100x, and then it'll be like a 60x, right? Because I don't think hedron's going to go up by as much, right? That's $11,000. But maybe this is 1,000, and maybe this is 600, right? That's 120. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I can leave this up, or I can stop sharing so we can hear you talk.
You can pull it down.
Okay, perfect.
I like I said earlier, get your bag of hedron now if you're going to borrow.
Right.
Have it set aside. That way you don't have to worry about the price fluctuation as much, and you'll be able to pay off your loan with the hedron. That was one thing I didn't understand when I got into hedron in the beginning. I thought, I don't know what I was thinking, but now that I understand hedron better, have a bag ready, because you don't want to be chasing that pump of hedron to pay off your loan and then you lose your stake. That makes any sense. Doesn't make any sense. But hey guys, I do have to go. My wife just says our truck is ready. I have to go pick it up from the mechanic, but I got to get going.
Thanks so much for coming on, Randy. I always appreciate you coming on, dude.
All right, Sam.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
I appreciate you. Okay.
Follow Randy Hilarski on everything. If you have no idea who he is, follow him.
Yeah, I just made a video about Odyssey too, because Richard's on Odyssey now, a how-to guide. So get your asses in there and learn how to use Odyssey.
He's been really working on, I mean, he's been upping his video intake as far as I've seen.
Yeah. I'm back, guys. I came out.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It's time to push HEX up again.
Randy's back.
Cheers.
Bye, Randy. Wow, this is some crazy information. What do you think about all that? That he said, I was lost. I'm not gonna lie to anyone.
Okay, so the math that you had, Sam, is right. It is right, because in terms of if we hit those parameters. But here's the problem: is that it takes a very, very, very strong diamond hand person to not to spend a lot of the principal and spend the money, the hedron he got from the loan, on dumb shit or not HEX, basically. So what ends up happening is that, when that price goes up, some people cash it out and then they'll get themselves into trouble where they have to buy Hedron at that point. So now it becomes sort of a game where, they're hoping they sell Hedron most people, what they're really doing is that they're going to hold the Hedron, let the price go up, sell it, and try to buy it back on the low, and essentially kind of do a trade, which a lot of hexagons have done that. I mean, I've done that as well. I sold at 51 cents, bought back at 11, 18 cents and all that stuff. So you can do it, but most people execute terribly. So let's just say it's the old 80-20 rule. 20% of people would do it somewhat right. 80% are going to get, and the bottom 20% is going to get nailed to the cross, basically. So if people are playing it very prudently, where they're not really, they treat it like, oh, that money's gone anyway. I staked that hex for 15 years, and then I take that Hedron, I'm just leaving it there in the wallet and just going to play the game like how you put it out. Then yeah, you'll win. But I know most people, they're not going to do that, because once the number gets high enough, this is the problem that a lot of people didn't do. Like a lot of people in the. Damn, I don't want to like I love the hexagons, I really do. But here's the problem. Here's what I've been worried about with the whole pulse chain thing is that a lot of us that were in hex, right? We just locked up all our hex away, right? We locked up all our hex away, so a lot of people couldn't even sell their hex as we did all these monster rises because they didn't have that much liquid. Now you're getting to a position where people have access to. They can use their hex to then mint more Hedron, and then on top, and then this is for hex as well. You're gonna have in pulse chain and pulse hex and stuff. You have all your coins liquid. You can withdraw it and sell them at any point. This is really interesting now because it's gone back to almost like a Bitcoin model where you have to hold that Bitcoin and not sell it to get that price appreciation. And you got to not give a fuck when it dumps or pumps, if you really want to make those crazy gains. And that's really hard because like what Richard created was really good, because it was a model where like you kind of take that. I mean, Richard talks about this, because you can stake out your hex, you're not selling it. And because you're not selling, then when the stakes come undone, holy shit, you got the price appreciation because you took that power out of your hands. Basically, you do have the ability to wreck yourself with emergency unstake, but that's kind of the power of the ladder. Basically, now you don't have that anymore. Now you have it all liquid. So now it's about like who's got the diamond hands to actually be able to do that, and it's a huge guessing game because Hedron's not going to perform exactly like Hex did. Hex is a little more predictable because it's been ingrained in us by what a lot of what Richard said, right? It's like we do these massive pumps and then we dump about 80%. So we have sort of a pattern, right? And then it's been historically correct, and then everyone believes it. Because everyone believes it, then it becomes true, and it is true. So it's like, and with Hedron, it's a little bit more different because it's a new asset, so it's obviously going to be very volatile, and it's going to go up at some point and then crash roll down. And we don't know. Maybe Hedron pumps a 3x and then it dumps 80%, and we go sideways for about 4 months, and then it pumps a 2x from all-time high. It could do things like that, or it's very possible that Hedron, because of how much has been coming out at the time. So this is where I'm talking a little bit on my ass here. I haven't run the numbers on this. So, but where so many people are minting it and the price gets to a certain point that it pumps to a certain price point, and it doesn't pump past that for a really, really long time, just because more and more people are just perma dumping it. Because everyone's getting everyone who claimed their stuff. So every dolphin's a dolphin, every whale's a whale, every shark is a shark. So they automatically got quite a lot of it off the rip. So there is a consistent selling pressure, especially because because I think psychologically, right, a lot of hexagons were brought up on like every airdrop I get, I sell, right? But then you have this new breed of hexagon, which is like, no, I really want to use this because it's really cool. So it is an ebb and flow between the two classes but what Randy was saying is correct, is if you're going to play this sort of game of taking loans and doing all this stuff, you might as well, like I told my students personally, like, hey, shit, throw a couple grand in, fuck it, like it's cheap right now, let's see what happens. And because you take a couple grand and it goes up 120x 60, I mean, like $1,000 times 600x $600,000. I mean, obviously, like, the dollar is losing its economic, purchasing power.
And even if you're talking about $200 dollar cost for the guys that have not been in the game, we're talking about, guys, when we're talking to brand new people, we're talking about getting $500 to $1,000 into the system. Like Miguel taught me before he knew he was teaching me, it went from 10,000 to 100,000 quick. Right. And it goes from 100,000 and a million just as fast. And it keeps adding, it's very exponential, but if you understand, if you get a little money in the system, it gives you enough mental fortitude to look into these things. Because if you don't, if you're just like, oh, hex, that'd be cool, maybe one day but if you put $300 in and it does a 10x, suddenly you become some sort of studying genius. You're like, I'm going to get into this stuff because there's so much value in it. I got a guy named David Sanchez coming on. He says he can add to the conversation, and I'm bringing him on.
I think I know who this is. I knew it. Yes.
What's up, David? You're muted, just so you know. We cannot hear you yet, but thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
What's up, David?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
David or David?
David. I'm actually one of Miguel's students, funny enough, or DollarCostCrypto students. Yeah, so we've been talking for a while, but
Yep.
I just came on because I've been doing a lot of research into Hadron myself. I have videos on my channel called Crypto Soft. And actually, Sam, I've been listening to you talk specifically a couple streams ago when you're talking about essentially using these advances on Hadron as a way to produce an income generation to pay off the loans. And that's something that I've been thinking about a lot. And so your idea with the spreadsheet that you brought on was essentially to buy HEX, because HEX is an income generating asset through the trustless yield that you get. However, and especially this is something I learned from DCC's course, the crypto mindset course, is liquidity providing. So the main problem with the income you generate from HEX is that it's time locked, which is amazing when you want forced diamond hands and you want that long-term price appreciation. But when we're talking about a loan that you have to pay off monthly in an asset that fluctuates in price, liquid income, in my opinion, is much more valuable. And the way we can do that specifically with the Hadron that we get advance on is by using it to provide liquidity in Pulse X. So say, for example, DCC has been heavy in the Phantom ecosystem, and there are a lot of DEXs, decentralized exchanges, that you can provide liquidity for and earn income, liquid income. This is going to happen on the PulseX exchange, except because it's a new exchange, the opportunity is going to be a lot bigger because there are going to be less people yielding on it because there are going to be because less people are going to be yielding on it. So we're going to have a unique opportunity to go in and earn high APRs to pay off our.
Is it smart for guys with small bags to yield farm?
So
comparatively to just doing some of the more basic protocols to get your like initial stack in there. Like I have never done any. Well, I do obviously Hex, and now I have Hedron, and I have Ethereum. Otherwise than that, and USDC. But I'm brand new, guys. Like this is all just brand new to me. I do not want you to think, if you're tuning in, that I have figured all this stuff out. I am inviting guys like this on to learn.
Thank you for sharing your insights. So a couple things that I left out on this, just because it was for a YouTube video, I needed to put my thoughts together, and like creating content forces me to learn in a sense. I don't know if you guys use YouTube the same way. Like I was like, hey, I need to make a video. Cool. This cool idea. Let me create this so I can share it. But two things that I left out on there is I just staked for 2 years out. But what if, right, you put a reserve of say 12 months aside, and then you did a ladder type of an effect, right? So you could ladder it out to make sure you have the payment coming in every single period when you need it. But also, I did not include any additional minted Hedron from the new stake, because that's going to be minted at the higher price if it was a higher price. But I also don't believe that it's going to, and dollar cost, you had mentioned, like, I don't believe that, if Hex goes up to, 150x Hedron, I personally don't see any value, and it's just liquidity to take some off the table or like to get into other things. But like, I don't see that. I see that price maybe coming up some, but like, I mean, I don't see it necessarily, like, because there's just no utility for it other than speculation.
Dude, speculation. Dogecoin went up 63,000% from the bottom, and it does nothing. You have to understand, again, we're going to dumb it down. Everything we've been talking technical, let's dumb it down back to the market. Speculation in crypto is everything.
Yeah.
For real. That's why people buy shit. 1% of the people know what they're buying. 5%, 10%, 20%, whatever it is. The majority of the people heard something, have extra money. Someone told them. The first time I bought Bitcoin was $3,400. I never looked at it once. I had no idea what it was. I just bought it because Charlie from Cultivate Crypto said it was a good time to buy it, and I was brand new. And I was just like, okay. And then next time I checked it, it was like $100,000. And I was like, oh my God. And then I started getting into all this other stuff. So I forgot what I was saying. But guys, the market is 100% speculation. For the majority of it, as far as I see, most people don't do any research.
Do you guys feel the same way? I'm brand like it's been 2 months, so I don't know.
Let me reiterate what I heard because I'm not sure I understand what you were saying. Were you saying that if Hex goes up, you don't believe Hadron would track that price appreciation? It would not. It would go the other way, is what you are saying.
I don't. So if Hex goes up 100, I don't see Hedron going up 100. Maybe 50, maybe 60, maybe 75.
He doesn't think people are going to buy Hedron.
Okay, so let me kind of go over what I've observed to be the value proposition of Hadron and why I actually believe it will outperform the price of Hex due to its functionality, essentially. So what you have to remember is that the distribution of model of the Hedron token is tied to the share. And the share is actually the valuable asset within the Hex ecosystem because it gets exponentially more difficult to obtain. You know, you take your Hex, you obtain shares, and then as people end stake, those shares get the price per T share goes up. And then you pair that with the price appreciation of Hex as a force multiplier, the economic math you need as time goes on to get the shares goes up. The only way to get Hadron natively outside of the market is to have these shares and to mint against them by serving your days in your stake. So this asset, Hadron, gets much more harder to obtain as the price and as the T share rate goes up. So now we have an asset that's tied to that up and to the right chart only, I guess this way for everybody watching. And then you also have to remember that the fundamental value of Hedron is its redeemability for shares on the liquidation market. So it's not only that you get these, it's more difficult to get these over time, but they're actually natively redeemable for Hex stakes when people default on their loans, on their advances.
Don't use, because I see that as being right. There's going to be the only people who are going to, in my thought process, as I've like kind of learned about this, is that the only people who are going to be paying attention to liquidations are people like us, right? And that's as Jim Rat was mentioning. I don't know. I feel like that's a probably accurate statement. That's a probably small portion of the market. Like people who are fucking paying attention. That's probably a very accurate statement you mentioned. Most people are probably not paying attention. So the people who are going to pay attention
so manipulated
to that
though, because the whales know that people are stupid too. Like the whales, this is my assumption. This could be completely fucking not true. But in my opinion, like if you look at the Hex chart and when people want to say things are manipulated, I totally agree with them. Things are manipulated. Financial systems are manipulated. Every financial tool is manipulated in one way, shape, or form by somebody who wants it to work, right? Like I just happen to be, I forgot what I was fucking talking about again. Sorry, guys. But as far as speculation is concerned, I think this is a lot more. I think whales have a lot more influence and a lot more about when these markets actually change. It's more like they wait for the psychology of everyone else to get to that point where they're like, okay, everyone's ready to lose their money. And then it flips, right? Like all the market, bear market is people locking in losses. Because it's just locking in losses slowly, big up, and then once the people want to start buying again, and they know that there's enough economic energy that's moved into the system where we could start trending the other way. It's like almost, if you look at the chart like we were earlier, the psychology of a market bubble chart that I used to look all the time when Tokyo crypto shows. That's what they used to pull up.
Because you could do this multiple times. Like if you had a 15-year stake, you could do this, and if you wanted to do 6 months, you could do every 6 months and make a portion of profit. You could do it every year. But like as you were mentioning, dollar cost, you have to like. That's like the people who refinance their house for a lower payment.
That's exactly.
And they're like, hey, if I take
you're in a debt trap. You're in a debt trap. Basically, is what you're doing. You're essentially just creating a brand new loan, but you do have to have capital. So the only way you have to have Hex in the first place to make the stake, to get the Hedron, to then pay off. So you could be. It's sort of like you're sort of living on a credit card, but not really, but kind of in a way where you're like, oh, you're opening a new loan up every 6 months in order to pay off the interest on that. And I'm pretty sure people are going to do that at some point. But one thing that I wanted to say earlier when like Crypto Sloth was sort of talking was basically Hedron is kind of right now a little hyperinflationary because it's just starting off right now, and then the bonuses go away, and then the amount you have to have you have to be really large in the system and have a big stake come out, and you also for it to be a lot of hedron, it's going to be, you have to wait until it's fully completed to even get the most out of that stake. So it's a lot of people, when they're claiming on their hedron right now, they're claiming on like 100 days served on a stake, or like in terms of how it is, right? So they claim their stuff, then they have to mint it. Most of their stuff, like even for me, right? Like I've been in Hex the whole time, and my Hex stakes are probably like 2.5, 3 years old, basically. So it's like on some of my 10-year, 15-year stakes, I'm gonna be 3 years in. So it's like I can only mint that much. So there comes a point where like if so, people are minting all their hedron right now, and then what happens is now it's only Father Time where you can mint again, and then it can become economically unviable to put the gas fees on Ethereum to even claim that hedron anyway, because there's no bonus multiplier anymore. I mean, you lock in the 9x, but later on and stuff for future stakes. So
That's
eventually, yeah. So if all this supply gets dumped, eventually it gets bought up by the market and by whales who want to just accumulate a ton of it, and then from there you can get price appreciation on the way up. Yeah.
And also for a lot of the strategies for, LPing or your strategy for reapothecating into Hex, you're going to want to wait till Hedron has a sizable dollar value behind it before you do it. Because like I looked at all the advanceable things, advanceable Hedron I can get on my HSI stakes right now, and it's only like $60. It's not worth risking your Hex stakes for $60 worth of income. Yeah. I have some slides if you guys want to see them kind of flowing through all of this stuff.
Crypto Sauce is the hedron god, basically.
Thank you, Crypto Sauce. We love
We're gonna do a future stream, me and him and stuff on hedron and stuff like that. So it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if you guys want to sneak peek into some of the slides I've been working on, I kind of go through these exact strategies and so in a way to kind of mitigate the risk.
What, you want to pull them up? Are you saying you want to pull them up?
Yeah, I got them ready.
I can share your screen and I'll pop it up.
And anybody's listening, the reason it's only like a small portion is because the T share only equals it's based off of a B share. So you need a bunch of hacks to get one B share, which means you need all this mass to get one B share. That only equals one hedron, which is like less than a penny, right?
A lot of these guys were getting T shares for 60 cents. Don't forget that. So you got to think about that too. A lot of the guys that we talked to, Wendy's, DollarCost, they've been around since the beginning. They just happen to be around in the beginning.
Just bag shame me anymore. God damn, dude. Wow.
What?
No, I'm just fucking with you.
No, what I say?
Can you guys see everything?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So, this first strategy is kind of one that's been popular in the Telegram group. And this is essentially kind of the baseline thing you want to do before you start thinking about using your advanced Hadron as collateralizing your HSIs to do these strategies. And that's kind of having two of them to mint against one, just in case something goes wrong with your loans. So yeah, you make two HSIs, you use one as a line of credit and you use the other as a safety net for liquidation. And kind of the way this works is, say you have your HSI and you take an advance on it.
Hey, real quick for the viewers, your mic is kind of cutting in and out. I don't know if it's from your laptop audio, but if you could just however you would.
How's that? Is that a little better?
It's way better. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm actually at school right now, so a little impromptu presentation. But yeah, so this is how you would map it out. You'd have your one HSI here, you advance against it, and then say you need the price of Hadron moves against you. You would mint Hadron from your second one, and then you'd be able to pay off that advance. So you wouldn't actually be liquidated at that point. Now, an example for this is, say you have two stakes that are 100 B shares each, and both of them for the max stake length, and you have the 10x multiplier. You would get 555,000 Hadron, this amount in your advance, and each payment you would owe 4,931 every 30 days. Now, because you have that 10x multiplier on that second stake, every time you mint, every day you get 1,100 Hadron mintable every day. And so every 5 days that you serve that stake, you can make a whole 30-day payment. So that's great. Well, no matter what risk profile you have and how degen you want to get with how you're yielding to get income to generate, to be able to make these payments, because that's the main goal, to generate the income to pay it off. If something goes wrong, every 5 days, you're going to be able to make a payment. So it's almost like kind of risk-free, a risk-free loan. But really what it turns into is you're minting your Hadron and you're selling it to pay for whatever you bought. That's what it ends up being if you have to use this. Now, of course, the launch bonus phase isn't going to be around forever. So if we still want to use this, we essentially have to tweak with the amount of hex that we're going to put up in each of our stakes. So in this example, say it's day 101, you would make one stake for 100 B shares and one stake for 1,000 B shares. So it's 10x the difference. You would advance against the smaller ones, and then you would mint against the larger ones. So then it would be 1,000 Hadron mints per day, and then again, every 5 days, you get to make a 30-day payment. So we're in a unique situation right now where you can make the economic mass of both of the stakes equal and to be able to pay it off, but eventually you're going to have to divide it up. So if you want to use these strategies, as the multiplier goes down, you're going to have to recalculate that math. Does that all make sense so far?
100%.
Yeah. So real quick, just so I can recap for me.
Mhm.
So if, let's say I'm doing what your strategy right now. Let's say I'm going through. So I'm going to create 2 HSI stakes, one 10x the other, basically.
After the launch phase bonus, yes. So,
Okay. I see.
Yeah. So you would have to do this math. You would want to go, if say we're at the 9x bonus now, about to be the 8x. You would want to go through and see, okay, how much hex can I put in one stake? How much hex do I need in the second stake to pay off the advance every monthly payment? And say you want to do it in 5 days, you need to calculate that out. So for this example, with the 1,000 B shares with no multiplier bonus, you get 1,000 Hadron per day. And if you're trying to make a basically 5K Hadron payment every 30 days, you would only need 5 days to pay that off. But if it's a 2x bonus, you get 2x the amount of Hadron, you get 2,000 here, so it only takes 3 days to pay it off, basically. Does that make sense?
100%.
Awesome. All right. So that's this, I believe, for all advanced Hadron strategies, this is the foundation of all of it. Because this is risk mitigation, that you're always able to pay off your advances. Because the worst thing that you can happen in the system is get liquidated and you lose the greatest asset in the world, your hex stake, which is like, you'd never want that to happen.
Yeah, but this is only viable. I mean, it's not the saying it's not viable, but like, well, at the way it is right now, because we have the 9x, 10x bonus. Right now, I think it's 8x right now currently. If you haven't minted,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going down.
Plus one. So they do like 8x. You have 8x, and then plus your original. So technically, it's 9. That's why I put it in there.
Yeah,
when you go through. But yes, it is 8.
Yep. Once day 101 ticks over, you have to do different number of hex per stakes, and you advance against the smaller one, and you mint against the larger one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can, because this is kind of like the same type of strategy you're just talking about right here. It's the same type of idea. It's just instead of using another HSI to pay off the loan, you just be using hex to pay off the loan instead. It's the same exact type of thing. You're just keeping it with HSI instead of utilizing the strategy. Because you could take the same strategy, and if you know some of those things where Dollar Cost was talking about, where you're getting 200x or 200% or 100%, you could use this if you understand that and you are confident in that. You could take that and pull it into this project and do the same thing. Just you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm about to get into. And then one more thing before I move on. That HSI that you mint against can also be your native stakes made before Hadron launched, because you can't make those HSIs, but those are always mintable. So you're someone like me that a fat bag of T-shares sitting around that have all been claimed on. Those can be used as your safety net instead of a new HSI, because once you mint,
because they're pre-existing already. Yeah,
exactly. Once you mint against an HSI, you cannot borrow against those days anymore. So you're using up permanently your line of credit. So you have to think really carefully before you mint against an HSI. A native stake is less important because you can only mint. All right. So this is the strategy I was talking about, and essentially what it is, it's leverage liquidity providing. You would want to make 2 HSIs or an HSI plus your native stakes. You use one as your line of credit. You LP with the borrowed Hadron, and then you pay that advance with the income. So this is how it will work. You make an HSI, you advance on your Hadron. Now you have that liquid Hadron in your wallet, and then you're going to provide liquidity in Pulse X. Now, whether it be Hadron, PLX, P-Hedron, E-Hedron, whatever you want, you can sell those coins into whatever asset you need to get the LP tokens. And then when you're LP providing, because you're taking on the risk of impermanent loss, you get APR. So you're going to earn fees and the incentivization token on Pulse X. And then you can use this income to pay off the advance. Then once you pay it off, you can just repeat this ad nauseum. And essentially what this is, it's like a traditional business loan in the financial system where you're taking on debt to produce an income generating asset that eventually pays off the loan that you took in the first place. So yeah, this is my main strategy for Hadron personally, because now I can take these HSIs, I can generate debt ad nauseum, and I can produce a pool of liquidity pool tokens that are going to produce me income forever. And then once you can do this as many times as you want, and then once you have a large enough stack, you just sell your incentivization token for more hex, make more HSIs, and you have income. Income is king, and that's what we want at the end of the day. Multiple streams of income, and this is another way we can do it in a decentralized and trusted way.
This whole what we've been talking about is very similar to liquid loans in some ways, where there's some really cool things you can do by staking, or putting your pulse into a smart contract, and then you can get your USDL, and you can use that to get tokens, or depending on how you want to structure that. And you never, there's no interest on that. There's no interest. Like Hedron, you have interest, but there's no interest on that, and there's no payback period. So you have a lot more opportunity there, or at least it's a interesting thing to look at. And if you guys,
go onto my channel,
go ahead.
If you go onto my channel, I have a clip when I was on X-Ray Vision where I talked about kind of the differences in leverage that Hadron provides and liquid loans provides. So Hadron is essentially a shorting system because you're getting an asset, and then you would sell it, you would cash, and then when the price goes down, you rebuy it, and then the difference, the delta there is your profit. With liquid loans, it's more of a longing position because you're getting a stable coin that you would buy an asset, it goes up in price, sell it, and then that delta is your difference. So these two systems, because they're fundamentally opposing in the way in which you acquire debt, you have options, take out leverage, both the top and the bottom of the market.
But remember, when they sell, so it's not going to drive the price down necessarily like a put or like shorting, because every payment, principal and interest, is burned. So it's not going to necessarily affect the price if on the advance, like on the borrowing portion. If you want to come on to my channel at some point, if you find value, I'm happy to talk about this. I actually have to run, but I appreciate both of you guys sharing the information. And Jim Rat, thanks. It's been awesome.
Sam, real quick, tell these people what you do and who you are and where they could find you and what kind of stuff that you do.
So I have a couple YouTube channels. One of them is way more crypto related stuff, and from my lens of being new into it, and on the analytical side from the previous finance accounting world. And then the big portion of like where my income comes to live off of is fitness related stuff. So if you like how DeFi is on the fringe of society, right? Somebody had mentioned 2% of society kind of understands or owns, right? If there was dollar cost, right? There's a small percentage of people that own crypto and are in DeFi. Well, I do that kind of stuff in the fitness world, related to longevity, related to steroids, related to SARMs, related to peptides. If you want to understand that piece of things, like how to heal yourself, how to actually get rid of certain things that like they're going to tell you can't get rid of, like diseases or fix your shit or drop body fat or increase muscle or all this kind of stuff.
Basically, everything mainstream is wrong. Everything Sam teaches is more correct.
And you can check out that channel or jump over on Twitter or Instagram. Appreciate you guys.
And I've worked with Sam personally for years.
Yes. Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you, man.
Hey, nice to meet you guys. Enjoy.
Very insightful questions Sam brings to the bunch. I love bringing on guys that are on the fringe of understanding, because then it gives you guys the opportunity to like say things from the perspective where you're actually teaching someone, rather than it's just us. Well, I'm learning too, but let's say there's a couple guys up here that have been here for 10 years. There's not too much learning going on. It's more just gab, right? But right here, I like to bring guys on. Let me tell you guys what I'm kind of trying to do here, just so you guys know. So my goals, and I don't have any crazy goals, just I want to bring guys from the fitness community, the popular ones, right? Like the guys that are, more plates, more dates, dollar cost.
Oh, I definitely do.
I want him on my show, and I'm already getting affiliate links for Gorilla Mind for my personal brand. I'm already talking to those guys because I can be the fitness guy that branches that, because I have the body. I actually do. Like these guys reach out to me sometimes and they're like, hey, do you want to do just 20% affiliate shit, 10%, nothing crazy, right? But I always look into it, right? I'll be clicking around. Guys, these guys are smart. These bodybuilder dudes, whatever anyone says, they're very smart and analytical, and they make really great assets. They're marketing machines, and they're absolutely sex appeal. You know the whole drill. Like some people are really good with that kind of thing. Let's use them. Derek, more plates, more gates. You know Leo Longevity?
Yep, of course.
He's been in my DMs. I've been talking to him personally about Hex. I'm telling you guys, these are the guys I've been watching personally for 10 years plus. I mean, whatever channel, however long they on. I was watching these guys when they had 10K subs. I was in their comments. I was in their live streams. That's just what I was into at the time. And that's what I want to kind of do. And then have guys like you on where you're just like, you guys are really bringing that punching power as far as you guys have been in the thick of this shit for years. Dollar Cost, you've been grinding this shit out for a while as far as putting out legit content. Nothing flashy, right? Nothing that's getting 100,000K views.
Not
but
yet.
We all know where the value is. We all know where the value is, guys. Come on. Our bags are it's just
that's crazy. You're watching more plays, more dates. I've been watching that dude like sub 20K views myself as well.
What a great channel to study to learn how to build a channel. That's what.
Sorry. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but I also have to leave. My lunch break is about over. I gotta go hit the classroom. So,
dude, thank you so much for what you provided, and I'm going to rewatch that. And I'm sure there's a lot of people everyone was kind of like doing what they could to keep up, including myself. But it's a rewatch, guys. Go right back to that section. That dude just provided a lot of value. If you're thinking about that shit, and follow Crypto Sloth on YouTube, right?
Yep, Crypto Sloth on YouTube, and then Sloth Crypto 3 on Twitter. And then I'll DM you, Jim Rat, and we can set something up, and I can go over my whole slide deck, and we can just kind of chill and talk.
That would be absolutely amazing. On this channel, we do not exile people. There is no exile. There is only bringing minds together that want to learn. And if somebody wants to be a douche, obviously they're not going to get invited on. But I will not be limited. I will not be limited to who I can speak with. And I will, because of social feeling, and I will not be limited to anything. You know what I mean? And that's what you have taught me, Dollar Cost. That's what you taught me. It doesn't matter. I don't know your personal life, but it doesn't matter because you're just doing you. You basically just told everyone, I'm going to just do it, me. Yeah. What else can you do?
I don't know. It's just like, I mean, a lot of people can't get conviction on stuff unless somebody else tells them, or if there's enough of a group consensus. Wow. But you know, it's just more of this thing of I've always had to work by myself, and I've always had to I built all my businesses by myself. Everything, obviously, with a little parental help here and there because my dad was in the business and stuff. But from there, you know, it was basically by myself on my own stuff. So that's kind of where I got that. Because if you're entrepreneurial, if you're the guy who made the business, then you obviously you start getting this mindset of like, well, I think this is a good idea. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't, it goes to shit. Oh well, I try something else until it works. And that's just kind of the way I kind of do everything. So that's where I got kind of the confidence in order to like stick around with Hex and stuff too. And like, I mean, I did the first ever podcast on Hex ever. Yeah, I have the first podcast on Hex ever.
Wow, guys, hold on one second. I mean, I knew Dollar Cost was around, but the first, guys, if you have negative feelings or thoughts, and I don't know, I know how this shit goes, right? I know when you talk about other shit, people shit on you for no reason. So
they can't shit on me now. No, it's they used to. No, people, the Hexican community used to do it. They can't. It's really.
And you know, I want to be neutral on this stuff, guys. I came in young, new. I didn't know shit. I'm figuring this stuff out as I go, Miguel. And you know how it goes with all the people all saying one thing. It takes time to decipher these things. Don't do anything crazy, guys. Just keep learning and just be nice to everyone. Like at the end of the day, if someone hates on you, just be nice to them and fucking count your bags. Like, it's just, what else can you do? We're all just working, having a good time. We all have incentives to make money, guys. It's at the end of the day, we're all here for the common good. I can promise you the information Miguel has put out online has been for the common good.
Oh, dude, I appreciate it. In terms of I mean, I think I lost my train of thought basically. I think we were talking about Hex or something, or we were talking about like so it's like I did the first Hex podcast, obviously Hexologist, and this I can't even remember the other guy. There's one other guy on Twitter that was doing some stuff. Then obviously Hexologist was doing stuff for a while, and then me, RG3, Crypto Coffee, and Hexologist. Hexologist created the Discord Syndicate originally, and I was there on the first show and stuff, and then I pretty much ran the Discord syndicate with RG3 basically the entire time through all of it, all of up until Big Payday, and I would say almost 4 or 5 months after Big Payday and stuff before I left. Yeah. So
And I know between all that time on this channel we get a little emotional. If other people don't like it, you know, you don't have to comment on anything you want to. But on this channel, we be realistic about everything. Like in this community, there's a lot of people that used to love me that do not love me anymore, and it's for no reason other than me just being me. Like, you know what I mean? It has nothing. I swear to God, I come on here every day. I don't write anything down. I turn the stuff on and I basically do my research with Sam like we do every single day for the last 2 years. So it's just, I'm just talking, guys. I just want to be out there because I think this message has value. And I think you kind of believe the same thing. Overall, decentralized cryptocurrency, freedom, lack of censorship. That's kind of what we all believe in, right?
yeah, I mean that's what we really want and stuff. Of course, the number go up. Of course, you know, I'm in it for the tech, but no, but I'm in it for the tech. But then I ended up getting decentralized cryptocurrency and stuff like that. So it's like it's pretty cool, like being able to go anywhere in the world and you basically have your money in your head, which is pretty cool.
It feels great, man. Cryptocurrency has opened up my entire mind to business, right? Like my entire mind. I went from like slaving 11 hours a day to now I'm just like sitting at my desk all day, just learning so much information. I decided I did not want to give up my time anymore. I could not give up my time anymore. I had to study. Like you guys were saying, you need hours a day. I was waking up at 3 a.m., going to the gym at 7 p.m., going to sleep at 9:30 for 3 years straight. And I woke up at 3 a.m. so I could study Hex because I knew I didn't know enough. And I knew I couldn't get in the position where I'd have diamond hands unless I listened and learned. There's no way, because you have to learn. Like all this psychology of a market cycle, all this stuff, this is stuff that just takes time to accumulate in your mind. A lot of these guys that are really smart with this stuff are just open-minded and they've been in the game for a long time. The emotions don't hit you like they hit us.
So right there, look, 2019, talking with Hex, StakeHex.com.
Wait, can you link that somehow? Can I link?
Yeah, this guy doesn't exist anymore. He got flooded out. So I can't remember this. I have not listened to this in forever, but basically he was the first guy to ever have a statistic website on Hex back in 2019. This is right. This is a little bit after it launched and stuff. And he basically got spooked about 15 days after this podcast. He left, he took the website down and just ran.
Well,
he thought it was a scam.
Someone must have threatened his ass or like scared him, personally attacked him. Like,
yeah,
because that's what happens if you're not ready to get personally attacked. Miguel, you're fucked.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone thick skin. I mean, like one thing I have learned over the years is not to attack right away.
Shill the podcast. It brought Hex_squid. Shill that mother effer.
There you go, right there. There's the link to the podcast. I'm actually missing some other podcasts. So I used to have. So my original podcast was called $CryptoCrypto. I just took the name over basically, but I had a previous pod. I had this other podcast called the Crypto Gamble Podcast, and I got it got deleted. So it doesn't exist anymore, which is sad. I know I talked about Hex in there, maybe 4 months. I was talking about Bitcoin Hex at the time, and that was maybe like
Give us a snapshot of your life at that time.
During
where were you at in that time in your life? Just like just kind of so I can get. You don't have to be specific.
So basically, like the minute. So around 2016, I got into cryptocurrencies. Got into cryptocurrency in December of 2016. I was like, holy crap, I need to make more money and stuff. So I already had my landscape businesses and stuff. So I just started pushing harder and harder and harder as crypto went higher and higher and higher. My income kept going higher. 2017 was a pretty good year. We got the crash, and basically I just tripled and quadrupled down on my business where I was working. I didn't take I took probably for 3 years. I took about 5 days off, maybe 4 days off a year. In those 3 years and stuff. So it took 16 days off in 3 years, basically. And Christmas Eve, not New Year's, maybe my birthday here or an anniversary or something. That's about, I mean, like literally I was working 24/7. I mean, like you can see me in some of my old videos. I'm brown as hell. I'm working outside and stuff. And then built an irrigation business along with that. So I mean, as crypto crashed and as crypto went up and down, I just kept making more money every single year. So basically, since I was a boss, I could literally like be on my, I mean, not be on my phone, but I could listen and like literally like this same setup right here, my phone and some headphones, and I would just be listening to sort of stuff. And one of the people that I followed right off the jump was basically Richard Hart. And I was listening to Richard Hart for a long
How'd you
time.
follow him? If you have any insight on that, is it hard to remember? I mean,
I remember, yeah, Roger. I think he had an interview with Roger Ver. Roger, it was the Roger Ver interview. Then I watched all the Doug Polk one and stuff, and then basically from there, every time he was like, "Oh, that guy's a smart motherfucker," but he would only drop a show every like 2-3 months. Like it was very inconsistent at the time. And then so I was just like, oh, listen to streams and stuff, and then I was like, oh wow, Richard Hurtland, I enjoy that one. So every time and then eventually he's like, oh, I'm gonna launch a cryptocurrency. Oh, cool. But he wasn't talking about. He actually said like, yeah, maybe a Ponzi-ish token or something like that. And then guess what? He was alluding to something, and then oh, maybe I might make some sort of like mining algorithm token. And then eventually he tried to make a mining algorithm token for that uses like a different type of computation, so it actually can help medical research. But then it just became too technically difficult because it would take almost a year or 2 years to create the algorithm, and basically miss the whole market. Then from there, he said, I'm gonna make something called Bitcoin Hex. And then around that time, this was he may have announced this in late 2018, maybe early 2019. And I was like, I'm in. I mean, fuck. I was like, this guy's hella cool. So like, so I was like, oh, dude, get on the ground floor of a cryptocurrency. I've never done that before. I mean, I made money in 2017, 2018, and stuff like that. But the problem is like I never got into any of these tokens at the beginning. That's what really caught my eye too. So I was like, I think Richard's really smart, and if he launches a project, I'm just gonna ape into it because I think he's like smart motherfucker. So I this has been a basis for like how I invest into cryptocurrencies, is something I call the box, which is, charismatic leader, who's the leader, what does it do, who are the major investors, and the team, basically. So it's like these kind of four components, and the community, basically the four most important components of a cryptocurrency. Well, obviously I saw Richard Hart was a charismatic leader, as well as he's really smart and he's gonna make a project. So in terms of a betting man, if I'm a VC, I'm like, oh wow, this is probably going to be a decent project. This Richard Hart's pretty smart, and a lot of people aren't fucking with him, but I know he's talented. So let me ape into it, basically. So yeah, I did. I originally started talking about the Bitcoin. I wish I still had those podcasts and stuff, but I made those podcasts in 2018 and 2019, where I was talking about Bitcoin Hex before it launched and everything like that. And then with no views, I mean, like I probably had like 20 listens, 20 listens on those early podcasts and stuff. And then from there, that podcast I linked in there was probably like the first one. That was probably like 13 days after Hex launched when I made that podcast with him. So it may have been on 11 days after Hex launched. But during that time, there was almost no content other than like the initial day, like, oh, Hex is a scam, basically, because it's pretty crazy. If you actually know what happened when Hex was talked about, there was no news at all on Hex. Like no one was talking about it. It was just oh yeah, if you
people that knew Richard Hart.
Yeah, just people that knew Richard Hart. So there was
was almost what? How many followers did he have? When I started following him, he
40?
had less than 70K. So I can only imagine 400 days before that.
40K subs.
And it was probably 75% of those subs was probably from other things, because he was doing self-help stuff, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So I saw some of the self-help stuff. I mean, and basically it was all the people from like the 2017, 2018 era who were still following him. And, it wasn't even that many people. I remember being on a live stream with like Richard Hart and stuff, and like there was only like 400 or 500 people live watching.
I've definitely seen that video.
Yeah.
It's a popular video.
Yeah, so there wasn't that many like views on some of the stuff and everything, which is kind of crazy. Eventually what ended up happening is why he started getting so much attention is that he was the only guy doing long form videos anymore. Basically all the other influencers fucked off. Literally, I mean, like even I was hella pissed off at Doug Polk because he just decided to I'm not doing crypto videos anymore. I'm like, what the fuck? The only people who stayed around were just I think Benjamin Cohen, Data Dash.
Why does Ben Cohen not talk about Hex at all, ever?
Because he doesn't own any, and
He's such a
He-
smart guy, and I love his fucking analysis of everything. And it bothers me because I don't know if he's getting paid or whatever. It's fine, but like, this is serious shit. Like, this is serious shit.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't care. I mean, look, he basically for him because if I think if he had noticed it when it first launched, he would talk about it. But because he feels like he missed the boat, or like now it's already done the 10,000x already, and now it's he just does like same thing. Why is he only
But he knows. But he knows.
Of course, he knows.
To know.
He's protecting himself. I mean, like, look, I mean, and this is no fault because I think Benjamin Cohen's really smart, and I like
So
Benjamin
do
Cohen.
I.
But he's protecting himself a little bit as well. Basically, he's like, all right, I've gotten to a point now where like I have to be really careful. I can't take a misstep because he's making a lot of money. He's earning money off his Patreon, and rightfully so. He's doing good content, and there's no problem with charging for your content. But here's the thing is like, he's just like, I'm making, I mean, why complicate my life? I can just keep talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then I can talk about Cardano because he talks about Cardano because he bought hella cheap in the bear market. He bought it at basically what I got into it, a penny or a half a penny into Cardano.
And he's about chart analysis. Let's not at the end of the day, Ben Cohen doesn't talk much about fundamentals of a project other than to mention that they're there. Like he'll mention that they're there or not there, but he is a chart analysis guy, and I watch him about Ethereum every time he has an Ethereum video. I watch it because most people that are incentivized to do other things really sell out, but he hasn't sold out. Like he just ignores certain content, which is still opportunity cost, which bothers me. It bothers me.
But
you're right. To me, kind of. So it's kind of like
no, you're totally right. But he's happy with what he's doing. This is something like what's his name? Jesus Christ. Wave 3. Sorry, yeah, Wave 3. So I was talking to Wave 3 about a long time. It was just basically he's in a position where like he's at the top of the heap of our little sector, and what he's doing that he doesn't care. He's just like, I can, if let's just say he can just spurg out, he can just be his normal self and just make a ton of money. And he's like, well, I'm happy with this. And that's it. That's all it is. So it's all about like, if he's like happy with his life, how he is doing and the kind of money he's making, and I can just keep doing this, that is what it is. But like, yeah, me and you are probably the type of people we want to keep expanding out and keep going into new things and learning. And that's how I am. But I don't stick into just
too boring otherwise.
Right.
But I also want to link up, like, how can I be so territorial about one thing when I'm trying to link up with bodybuilders that have Bitcoin, they have shit coins, they have NFTs, half of them are just getting wrecked like everyone else out there. So when you link up with these guys, you have to be open-minded with your speech too. Like you can't be, it's a real red flag when you're closed-minded with what you're saying because other humans say stuff. As far as like when you're talking about freedom fighters, right? Like, so I always mention that I think RH products are better than any other that I've seen. And I'm not a genius. I'm just a random guy that likes crypto. He seems the most detail oriented in my opinion. And he seems the most forth thinking. And that's kind of what I like. And he also mentions the reality of what goes on with the other stuff. And that's when I started listening to Richard Hart. He started mentioning that Bitcoin sucked. He was the only person I ever heard say Bitcoin sucked.
Right.
And I'm not saying Bitcoin sucks, guys, by the way. Like, that's his opinion, my opinion, whatever. But like, I was like, why is he saying that? And then he said, why? It sucked. And I said, no one's saying why anything. They're just saying, what is Pomp? I've been watching Pompliani since he had 15K subs.
Right.
I watch Pomp, and I call him out more than anyone. And when this channel's huge, Pomp, I'm coming for you. No, I'm just kidding, Pomp. You're probably a decent guy. But like, he totally sold out. He started getting paid, and now he's so backed into a corner that he can't even talk about other projects. He can't even whisper. He couldn't even breathe saying another project because he walked himself into a corner, and I refuse to do that. I refuse to be that guy in 10 years that can't say another fucking word because I'm so financially backed into a corner. I'm a freedom fighter over here. I want my bags to make it so I can do whatever I want. And that's why I look to you guys like Crypto. Do you have anything you want to shill?
I guess not. I
Anything
mean,
at all your YouTube, all your shit, just fucking let them know. If they don't know you, if they've never seen you, a lot of these people have probably never seen you before. A couple of them.
oh, no problem. So my name's DollarCostCrypto. You can find me at DollarCostCrypto on Twitter and on YouTube. This is the two main places you can find me. I will be doing the Crypto Mindset Quarter 2 in April. We're still finalizing dates here and there, and then yeah, that's pretty much what I have upcoming and stuff like that. I'm getting ready to bring in a ton more new hexagons into Hex, which is really cool.
Nobody's brought more hexagons into Hex. Well, maybe a couple, like 1 or 2, 3 people, maybe, than DollarCostCrypto. I'll say that with proudly because it's literally true. It's literally true. It doesn't matter, guys. This is real. I hate when people can pretend like they're making a difference and they get all the clout for making a difference, but they're really not making a difference at all.
Right.
Like the real people that make a difference are super passionate on the ground and with what they do and the way they, like, you probably talk about this shit with your buddies, the same shit you talk about in your videos. It's the same way I am because that's, you know, that's where we are. Guys, I'm going to show real quick before we wrap up.
Yeah,
guys,
sure.
Thank you so much. Everyone who's in here, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like. I'm on here every single day at 11 a.m. I'm bringing the best guys on here, the most open-minded guys, people from different communities. This is like a midday chat room for people that want to learn. Anyone can hop in. If you want to support me, if you want to buy a shield, you can use a promo code on the bottom, GRC50, and you get $50 off. They're really dope. It's the bear market. I don't expect anyone to buy anything. Please don't buy anything if you're broke, guys. And if you want to support my channel, there is an Ether scan link at the bottom. I'm just trying to buy a new camera. And if anyone wants to donate, go the fuck ahead because I'm trying to vlog so I can show everyone how I live so cheaply. So I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna show people my meals. And I'm gonna say, guys, you can live like this is when you're getting your crypto gains, this is how I live. Because this is legit how I live right now. Like I can make food for the week for $40, no problem. Huge meals. So I want to present some of that too, maybe on a separate channel, but that's kind of my goal right now too. I want a new camera. And these cameras I quit my job, so I'm just doing this shit now. But like I've never had more fun in my life, guys. And I've been stacking T-shares for like 300 days now. So I did exactly what you did. I didn't take a minute off for a fucking year and a half. And I just stacked T-shares, 2 cents, 10 cents, 17 cents, 21 cents, 11 cents. You know, guys, keep stacking your T-shares. Financial freedom is the goal. Dollar Cost, thank you so much for coming on.
And no problem, man.
Thank you. And if I ever send you a link, don't feel like you have to respond to it. I just send people that I like links.
No, I appreciate the invite and stuff. Cabana does the same thing. It's cool. Yeah, I'm trying to hop in it. I'm actually trying to be on as many hexagon streams as I can. Actually,
I want more random people to know about your shit.
I appreciate it, man. No problem.
And not just random hexagons, but like random people is what I mean. Like I'd let guys like Sam, like if you and Sam were talking every day, I would be so happy because you're the exact guy. He is that diamond-handed guy you were talking about. Sam is the most religious OCD bodybuilder I know. So like when he's talking about doing all these things in the numbers, he'll actually do it. But for other people that don't have diamond hands, not suggested. Guys, Jimmy Crypto, dollar cost average. Peace out.
Peace.